I'm back. This is Chandler for Melder Production, and today I'm going to show you how you can use MSpectraldynamics to duck your rhythm section using your lead section. So, of course, you probably know, like, hey, I can do this with a normal compressor or maybe even a dynamic EQ, but you're thinking, okay, why would I want to use MSpectraldynamics? And MSpectraldynamics is kind of like having 100 multi-band compressors or 100-band multi-compressor together. And so the reason you might want to do this is because sometimes you want a pumping sound because of a compressor, but if you don't, it's a little bit hard if you have a single band compressor. Now, of course, a dynamic EQ can be great because it won't have as much pumping, but the problem is if your sound moves around a lot, it's not going to catch every single thing. And so this can really help for something like that because it will just duck the certain frequencies that your lead instrument is playing at. So with that out of the way, that long explanation, let me show you exactly how it works. So first, I'll let you listen to this. This is a song I wrote about a year ago. I'll just play it. Okay, if you want to hear more of it, I have it on my channel. I'll leave a card so you can find it there. But basically what I did here is I separated it into the rhythm section minus the drums here. Okay, and then I have like the vocoder vocals here. Okay, so we have both of these, and here, like, I try to balance them as well as I could, but let's imagine they're not so balanced. So I push everything up here, and I think, okay, well, now these parts are a little bit too loud, and now think like, okay, the rhythm section is getting in the way of the vocals. And I can't hear it too well. So especially let me turn up the funk stat a little bit more. So let's use MSpectraldynamics to kind of duck this rhythm section. So I have all the rhythm section coming out of the bass synth here. Usually I'd use a bus, but I didn't because I was stupid for some reason and lazy. But now let's go here and put MSpectraldynamics on it. When you open it up, it looks like this. I'm just going to use the default here, like this. So now we're in the edit screen, have everything in front of us. So lots of this stuff is useful, but today I'm not going to really use too much of it. The attack, let's move that down a little bit. Release, I can move that down a little bit too. The processor, you see here, it just looks like a normal compressor. Let's move the ratio up like this. And you notice if I solo this rhythm section and I start moving the threshold, you'll see what it does. It works just almost like a normal compressor. So here, see here where it says processing shape. This is just like any of the other Melder Dynamics processing plugins. It's a nice visual thing that shows you what's happening. And if you notice here, the analyzer and equalizer, it'll show you what frequencies are being compressed, which is really cool. So it's working, but you're thinking like, hey, it's not ducking anything. It's just compressing the rhythm section, which is true. So what we're going to have to do is sidechain it. So in Reaper, I can just drag this here onto the plugin, and it gives me the sidechain. For your specific DAW, you'll have to check that out yourself to find out what works for you, but figure that out. And then once we have that in there, where it says detector input, change this to sidechain. There's a bunch of other things we can do here, which are really cool, but we don't need those today. Maybe in a future video, I'll check those out. So here it says sidechain. This is great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it, and it'll show in here what's coming out of the vocals. Okay, so you could kind of see like, okay, it's following this, the vocals. So now I'm going to do that again. I'm just going to gradually turn this down. So if you listen to it, you can hear that those like funk stabs from before are much less prominent, and they're not getting in the way of the vocal like they were before. And the same thing with the other parts. So I'll bypass it first, and then I'll turn it on so you can hear what it's doing. So there you go. Hopefully my computer won't blow up. It's kind of slowing down. Sorry about that. But you get the idea. And what we're doing here with the threshold, if you think like, hey, this is great, but the problem is I don't want it cutting out so much bass or treble. What you can do is click threshold here. And then from here, we can add these dots here like this. And we can kind of move things around so the threshold isn't doing as much bass compressing, etc. Or if you think, you know what, I don't like drawing with all these like dots and lines, just right click and you can go into drawing mode here. And now I can actually draw what I want. So it's like, okay, let's scoop out this, but the high end, I'll kind of leave that. So this is my new curve, and then I can adjust the threshold like this and move it up and down. So that way I'm doing lots of compressing around this mid-range, but the high end and the bass is kind of left alone, like this. You get the idea. That's like kind of a tip you can use for other things, and you could actually do the same thing with other things like the attack or the release. So if you want different attacks or releases for different parts of the frequency spectrum, that's really cool. And actually it's useful for some things, because for the bass you probably want a longer attack because the wavelengths are longer, but for the high end you might get away with a shorter attack. And so of course, check those out and play with those if you want to. And there's all sorts of other things you can do with this, but I just wanted to give you a basic overview of how to do this. And so if you have a guitar solo in the future and you're thinking like, it's great in the high end, but in the low end it kind of gets lost behind my rhythm guitars, you can use this because this will, duck the low end when you're playing the low notes, and then when you get to the high notes, it'll duck, the high notes on the rhythm guitars, etc. So you can make sure everything is clear and on top. And I don't know if this can be used to replace proper EQing and compressing, but used with normal EQing and compressing, this can help keep your vocals or lead instrument on top. So hope you found this useful. If you'd like to give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and check out all the other plugins at meldaproduction.com. Until next time, see you.